Hello my friends, on the satellite image you may see the Russian air defense base with S-300 and S-400 systems. It is located in the village of Kulishevka, Rostov Oblast, which is actually bordering Ukraine, and today there was a big kaboom on territory of the base. Here we have the video filmed by the eyewitness. Definitely something is burning on the territory. The Russian official channels and their Z military bloggers altogether say that it is not connected to Ukrainian drone strikes. Rather, it was the internal kaboom inside the base, and it could destroy some of the systems, like S-300 for example, which is for sure is deployed there. Also, we have some more photos coming. The picture was taken from the village itself, and there is the Russian base. And one more. Actually, it's the big cloud, but with 100% probability I may not state that Russia lost something in particular, because I need the images from the place, or I'll have to wait the satellite images. By the way, I'm still waiting for them to clarify the Ukrainian yesterday's operation in Psyche military airfield. And yeah, definitely it's the place, the Russian military base with air defense systems, the geolocated and confirmed. Yeah, not the best place to establish the restaurant, I would say. Right guys, and now let's speak about the front lines. So Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, the situation there is really hot. Russia tries to advance to Rodinsk. We have multiple of the reports of their mid-wave strikes. Ukraine tries to defend Rodinsk very hard, but Russians, as you can see, they're coming closer. So it was 3 days ago and it is today. By the way, for the last 24 hours there was no visible movement, at least on this military map, but it doesn't mean that there is no actual fight ongoing inside Rodinsk itself, because I have some of the reports about it. And this map I found on the Deep State military map source, their Telegram channel. They say that Russia attacks Rodinsk from two of the attack vectors, and after their plan is to expand to every sort of the site, especially towards Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, at the same time attacking from south. The Deep State analytics confirm that Russia continued to send small sabotage groups to Pokrovsk. Many of them are KIA, but some make it to the city or town. Analytics also confirmed the important role which Rodinsk settlement plays for protection of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, and Russia has partial success. The fight is ongoing at the eastern outskirts of the small town. They confirm the importance of the settlement, and from Rodinsk Russia may advance actually to multiple of the directions, even towards Shevchenka. Plus later on they might deploy their drone operators to Rodinsk, and they may cover at least 15 kilometers of the range. So Pokrovsk, Mirnograd, they're already, I would say, under the drone strikes, but with Rodinsk it would be a nightmare for Ukrainian defenders. Actually, I was saying it even before Russian attacks towards Rodinsk that it is the crucial settlement. It could be decisive for this entire frontline part. This is one more military map. You may see that Russian attack happened not far away from Rodinsk 2 days ago. Plus, Russians continue to expand in this area sideways, increasing their bridgehead. Here they want to go to Volodymyrivka and using the bridges across this river, and then reinforce their group in this direction to push southbound and more to the west. Plus, they already sent the forces directly to attack Rodinsk, but those supply lines are not reliable compared to what they might have if they take Volodymyrivka and go westbound here. At least I may say like that, judging on this military map and the situation update. But I'm absolutely sure that Putin believes that he is capable to achieve the major goal and break through Ukrainian defense in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm just gonna briefly touch this topic here. So Putin doubts potency of Trump's ultimatum to end the war. It means that, first of all, Putin is not willing to ceasefire. I think it's the Reuters that writes this report. So they say that Putin receives reassurances from the Russian High General Command that they're capable to break through Ukrainian defense very soon, as I told you, 2-3 months. So Putin thinks that very soon he might capture all of the Donetsk, Luhansk, and enter Kherson region plus Zaporizhia. And after that, maybe Putin might start real negotiations, because he understands that his economy is damn suffering. But honestly guys, I don't think it's gonna happen like that. The Russian army is very slow and Ukraine builds new defense lines. So Putin again shows that he lives in his own parallel reality that harms Russia significantly. More about Trump, Putin, Witkov's visit I'm gonna tell in separate video. I'm gonna publish it later after this one, okay? I'm splitting the topics for the information not to overload you. The Ukrainian military intelligence reports about the successful operation in the Sumy region. Ukrainian forces from GUR were capable to zero 334 Russian troops, plus 500 more were wounded. It was the combination of artillery, of infantry forces. I published this video already on my Telegram channel for you to check it out, because here I cannot play it. This is filmed on Ukrainian positions. This is the Croatian-made artillery system M93A3 Heron MLRS. Reminds me something from the Second World War. Yeah, it's Nobelwaffe 41, which Deutschland army used before, and this is it. Here they say that this weaponry was very effective and sophisticated. So it's interesting to see kind of the old technologies introduced in the modern-day war scenario, and still they are needed. So the small box, you can tow it with even pickup truck, I guess, very nice. And this Croatian-made system already was spotted by the Russian drone. They didn't drop anything there, they didn't hit it, just spotted with surveillance. This image was shared by Andrew Perpetua, one of the OSINT analytics whom I follow. Now guys, let's go back to the deep state military map source. Russians moved from the Popiv Yar today, so it was yesterday, it is today. They're very close to Poltavka, and Ukrainian army already left this village. So Russia continued to expand this bridgehead, not far away from Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. If we go to Torets direction here, you may see that Russia advanced for the last 24 hours. They almost fully occupied Toretsk, and there is the great threat for Ukrainian army in this region. You see, Russians already advanced with this gray zone here, so supplies are cut. Plus, Russians have two of the attack vectors from Toretsk, and they want to cut those two of the remaining roads, which are used by Ukraine to supply four of the villages: Sherbanivka, Petrivka, Katerinivka, and Hlebanbik, kind of the interesting name of this village. So if Russia is successful here, if they cut this supply line, Ukrainian army even could be trapped in this region, and it's time, I guess, for Ukraine already to get the forces out from this area little by little, because here you can see the big lake and the Ukrainian forces here could be jammed. I was telling about it maybe even 2 days ago, about this potential threat. Well, here is the 3D map. You may see that the Institute for the Study of War already put this entire region into the gray area. However, it is not correct for this hour, and they also published the information shared by Russian propaganda. So I won't trust this map, but it gives us the information about terrain here. So Russia is advancing from this side, and the terrain here, you can see it's downsloping. So for Russia, it opens actually the view on the Ukrainian positions, and it's very hard to defend if you're at the lower ground. So the situation is not that good for the Ukrainian army. It needs already to leave the area. It's my opinion. Because if Russia jumps here, the big group of the Ukrainian army could be encircled very fast. Oh guys, I'm actually shocked that we have even some of the positive news from the eastern direction. Zeleny Guy, where Russia occupied a nearby village and offended forward and put their own flag. Well, here Ukraine counterattack, regaining the territory and partially entering Zeleny High once again. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Russians always wave their flags. It's like a new virus in the Russian army. They show to their command that they're taking the ground, but it doesn't mean that they'll stay there for a long time. Alright guys, we have some of the fresh videos. The mishap happened to the Russian T-72 tanks in Belgorod Oblast. They were sent by Russia for reinforcement of the region for attacking in the Kharkiv Oblast, but the tanks were stopped by Ukrainian drones. Yeah, there were multiple of the hits, crew left the tanks, and they continued to be hit again and again by Ukrainian drone operators, and finally they were kaputted. So it's great that Ukraine operates on enemy territory like that.
Ну чё, уёб, бабки будем отрабатывать, почему не хотим на штурм идти, нахуй? Ты какой припёрся, блядь?
Oh my god. Yeah, recently YouTube applied even, I think, more strict policies, so I may tell you what happens there. Those are 3 Russian army men who refused to fight for Russia to go on the mid-wave attacks. And the guy with the camera is their local commander who wants to motivate them to go for those attacks. After the short introduction, those soldiers were patted by their commander, who put them down on the ground with sensitive fist touches and kicks. He also added that those are just the meat for the Russian army. He definitely said like this on the camera, so they are not even trying to hide something here. They beat the hell out of their own soldiers, throwing them single destination one way with no perspective to stay alive. But the question goes, why did those stupid guys sign the contract with the Russian army? They needed more money? Well, probably. And commander actually, he was right, saying that you signed the contract, you earned the money, go and KA yourself. Yeah, motivation. And interesting statistics we have here, guys. I'll lower my image for you to see everything. So for 1 week, we have the report about Russian and Ukrainian losses. And I would say that Ukraine is losing more of the vehicles and other equipment compared to the Russian army. Especially if we look at the tanks, Ukraine recently lost many of those. 6 of the tanks are here. At the same time, Russia lost 3 of the tanks, but 1 was even captured by Ukraine. Yeah, sometimes our guys perform those kind of the missions. But Russia lost more of the BMPs and MTLBs. Why is it happening like that? Why Russia has less losses compared to Ukraine? Well, not too much less, but after all less. The answer is that Russia is advancing mainly just with infantry forces or troops on motorcycles, on all-terrain vehicles. They have now this different strategy to use more meat and less iron. The Russian army is still unable to compensate its losses in Ukraine with the military production. That is why they simply start to use less of the military equipment. And in its turn, it skyrocketed the infantry losses. So yeah, they lose less vehicles compared to even Ukraine that tries to counterattack. But at the same time, Russian infantry losses are way high. In Liman direction, for example, the situation for the Russian army is very terrible, for the losses confirmed. The Russian military bloggers say that at this direction, for each Ukrainian soldier, Russia loses 60 of the soldiers. And they say it's basically because of the stupid local army command in this region. Just not long time ago, Russia advanced towards Siversk with a convoy of the armored vehicles with lots of the motorcycles. I think I told about it 4 days ago or something, and this convoy was totally annihilated by Ukrainian defenders. It was absolute devastation. They haven't even reached the Ukrainian position, losing tons of the vehicles. Yeah, mostly light vehicles and lots of the infantrymen. So the situation, if we say about realities on the ground, Ukraine continued to defend its territories, Russia propels but very slowly with significant losses, and it's not bringing any sort of the victory for the Russian Federation, because what they occupy are just demolished villages and towns. So then they say in Russian propaganda media, or Putin even himself says, okay, we liberated Chasiv Yar, but Chasiv Yar is nothing, it's no more a city. Those are just ruins. Before it was a wonderful city where people who spoke Russian used to live, who were watching Russian movies even. That's why I honestly think that Putin is psycho, that he started the war against the population which was in a way culturally close to Russia, especially those people who used to live in the eastern side of Ukraine. Now those people are not living there any longer. Either they left their homes or they were zeroed by the Russian army. Those few lucky people who decided to stay there and stayed alive, those are considered by the Russian propaganda as the Russians who survived the occupation by Ukraine. Yeah, the most of the information which is coming from Russia, if not all, is just a pure bullshit. But unfortunately, they invest a lot in their stupid propaganda, and sometimes people in the West, they listen and trust Russian media or influencers who support Russia. So my duty here is to show the reality, truth. Truth is our weaponry. And guys, in a few hours, I'm gonna update you with more information. So please stay tuned, subscribe, like this video, and also support me on Patreon, because with your support, I'm motivated to film more and more. Thank you so much for it. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.